chairman of NPA is here. I sympathize with the vice president. He sat here nervously, and he was taking notes because he is in charge constitutionally of chairing the National Economic Committee. So all the problems being brought up, he has been attentive to them. At least each quarter, I suppose, he gets the governors and discuss them. So he couldn't resist making some notes and pushing them to me. But I too made my own notes. But I'm very pleased the competent heads of the ministries and NPA have answered the questions adequately, because mainly jobs for the young people, infrastructure, roads, rail, power, ports, agriculture. The only thing they have been mentioned was what I have been mentioning during my campaigns, that God answered our prayers as Nigerians. The last 3 rainy seasons were good. The efforts the government made in its foresight is to get the Ministry of Agriculture and Central Bank, to give soft loans to farmers and to make fertilizer available and half the price, at least half the price of what it used to be. So we are very lucky. We are virtually have achieved food security. Your last point, across the businesses, I think it has been explained by Minister of Finance and so on. So now I can relapse into my notes proper. So I said I'm pleased to have this opportunity to interact with your leaders of the private sector business community and share some of the government's achievements and plans for the next few years. I am sure you will all agree the last 3 years have been exciting to say the least, both at home and abroad. We have seen significant shifts that have impacted business and trade. When this government came into office, our 3 priorities were to increase the level of security across the country, improve economy, and tackle rampant corruption. These 3 factors are indicators of prosperity we are celebrating in the past decade. No wonder they were recruited to cause violence and mayhem in their localities. These 3 priorities, if addressed, will completely transform Nigeria to a diversified, inclusive, competitive economy. But this is not an overnight transaction. We are not only transforming systems and processes, but we are also changing hearts and minds. We have recaptured and held lost territories. Yes, we still have pockets of insurgency, but our sovereign integrity is intact. Last year, we saw thousands return to their farmlands cultivating wheat. To many observers, the argument is this does not lead to GDP growth. However, to me, these are thousands of citizens who are earning a living productively. Eventually, they will contribute to economic growth and reduction in criminal activities in both our urban and rural areas. We have also reactivated a number of abandoned but impactful infrastructure projects. Rail, power, roads, bridges, and energy are key priorities. Some are doing alone, while others are ongoing in collaboration with the private sector. The impact of these projects will not be felt immediately, but in the long run, it will enhance Nigeria's development and competitiveness. This has been referred by, I think, the Minister of Works and Housing, who has been very busy with the private sector, drawing the agreements the government signed with them for the roads they will build and how they will recover their money from taxes. This again has been commented on by the Honorable Minister of Finance. All our projects and programs are captured in our economic recovery and growth plan, which was developed in an inclusive manner with inputs from state governments, the National Assembly, the private sector, labor, academia, and development partners. It was based on several key principles, notably reducing shortages of critical items like fuel, foreign exchange, and skills, and using the power of the private sector in a way that promotes economic growth and social inclusion. These would be underpinned by the restoration of peace and stability, as well as business-friendly policies. Despite severe revenue shortages, which resulted mainly from a sharp drop in international oil prices and vandalization of our oil installations and inefficiencies in collecting revenue, our successful efforts to restore growth, increase human development, provide infrastructure, and improve business conditions reflect these principles and our determination to pursue them. You must also note that this all happened when we were aggressively revamping our military operation. Points or professions or businesses that certain foreign exchange will not be available for certain types of commodities. Those that can afford it, they can go and buy the currency outside, and when they come back looking at how much profit they can make, then they may decide not even to go to the private to buy the. So that will encourage the local productivity and consumption of our own goods and services. We are paying off debts that were not even publicly acknowledged before now, including those owed to states, the electricity sector, oil marketers, exporters, back salaries of workers and pensioners, among others. We now have an importers and exporters window that will not be closed in court. that enable access to foreign exchange without running down our reserves. We have deepened business incentives, such as foreigner status for industries, and given direct support to various sectors. I am a strong believer in the importance of infrastructure to promote development, and I am happy that the result of the priority we have placed on this sector are beginning to show. Our commitment is reflected in the resources that are provided for infrastructure. In 2016 and 2017, capital expenditure was up to 2.7 trillion naira, while over 800 billion naira has been released under current budget. This has been complemented by the inception of the $650 million United States Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, which will focus initially on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the second Niger Bridge, the Abuja-Kano Expressway, and the Mambila hydropower plant. In the same context, I recently signed an executive order on the road infrastructure tax credit scheme, enabling the private sector to undertake critical road construction projects, the cost of which they can offset against the taxes they would otherwise have had to pay to government. This has been referred by the Minister of Finance. Our railway projects are generating excitement across the country. The Abuja-Kaduna Railway is up and running. The Tapewa line is being test run before going commercial. The completed portion of the Abuja Light Rail project is facilitating movement to the airport. The Lagos-Ibadan Railway is nearing completion, with people already taking test rides on the completed portion. We are determined to work at the same pace on the coastal railway line and the line from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. We completed the repairs to the railway in Abuja in record time, and just a few weeks ago, I commissioned the Barrow Inland Port. All these achievements for Nigerian business to grow. Micro, small, and medium enterprises, which produce half of our national income and employ the majority of people, are also benefiting from our investment in infrastructure, provision of development finance, and improvements in the regulatory environment. The micro, small, and medium enterprises are direct beneficiaries of our government empowerment and enterprise program, which provides interest-free credit to petty traders, members of market association, farmers, and artisans. Of course, while all these reflect a positive direction, we must realize that there is still a lot more to be done to take Nigeria to the next level. For instance, it is essential for us to raise more revenue to continue to improve our economic fundamentals and increase the level and quality of government services in support of private sector. I recently inaugurated a technical advisory committee to identify new sources of revenue in this regard. This is also to ensure that government at all levels has the resources to pay the new national wage, which we are indeed committed to paying. Our economic fundamentals are strong, and in the next 4 years, by the grace of God, we are determined to stay the course in terms of partnerships with the private sector, support to the real sector, helping small businesses, providing infrastructure, and enabling business environment. All this will continue to be supported by improvements in governance to promote transparency and reduce corruption, and to improve security in all parts of the country. With your continued support, we are determined to increase the pace and to continue to change Nigeria for better. I thank you for your patience, for listening to some of our achievements and plans. I cannot finish this speech without digression. Please sit down. I started by digressing and I'm ending up with it. When the teachers' negotiation was going on between Ministry of Labor and NLC, I was forced to tell the cabinet several times that although I'm a Fulani man and I'm accused of being one by stagnant farmers somewhere in the country, I was brought up in a strictly Hausa culture, and it dominates my thinking. And there is an adage there that a mad woman wants to make firewood. A mad woman wants to make firewood. She went, she made the firewood, she tied it, she couldn't carry it. Instead of reducing, she went and collected more. So I had to tell the Minister of Labor that, look at the economy of this country. We have been doing everything transparently. I said the private sector has no problem. If they can't pay, they retrench. But the three tiers of government, the federal, the state, and the local governments, if they want to be re-elected, they can't retrench. So the government was put in a very difficult position, but I'm very pleased. I have a very tenacious labor minister and very courageous and competent one. He has managed, I think, to get them to accept whatever we discuss in council. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. I don't think we have wasted time here because the government, the business sector are necessary partners for our problem. Thank you.